On March 2nd, 2011, at around 8 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time, a new Battlefield 3 video hit the internet. Fault Line Series Episode 1, Bad Part of Town, showcasing more of the mission first presented during the gameplay debut trailer. Now we know that the mission takes place somewhere along the Iranian-Iraqi border in the year 2014. The background story is that coalition forces led by U.S. Marines are there as part of a peacekeeping operation. We get a better look at what was first shown in the gameplay debut trailer. The Marines disembarking the LAV-25 amphibious light armored vehicle. The Humvees and LAV-25, which we first saw in the debut trailer, can now be seen from even closer, and we can see that the Humvees are equipped with turret-mounted MK-19 belt-fed grenade launchers. We can also see a little bird flying overhead at low altitude. Looking at the game's heads-up display, we also know that the events take place at 1300 Zulu time, near the Iranian border. This gives us an indication that the events take place in Iraq and that we are playing as Staff Sergeant Henry Blackburn of the Marine Corps' 1st Recon Battalion. There's a lot of activity going on around where the Marines are dropped off. We can see a civilian or an insurgent under the arrest of a Marine being taken out of what looks like a marketplace. There's a roadblock a little bit down the road, and there is also a Marine searching a prisoner or civilian next to a Humvee. We also get a taste of DICE's clever censorship, censoring the F word with a cleverly timed car horn.
You ever ask yourself how this part of the world gets so hooked up all the time? I just work here, Dave.
The video then cuts to the briefing scene. We find out that some Marines were investigating a lead about a possible chemical weapons stash at grid 8-0, as the officer puts it, pointing at the map. He explains that your element is the only one available. We also find out that one of the Marines you are looking for is called Jackson, and his last known position is a meat market. Once again, DICE cleverly censors the F word used in the sentence with the sound of a helicopter flying overhead.
Jackson's last known position was Spin's a meat market, and they're in a bad part of town.
The video again cuts, and now you and the Marines are inside a household, or in the kitchen of a restaurant, moving into a back alley. At the end of the alley, we can see a dog behind a fence. This is an interesting sight, as no Battlefield game has ever had any dogs. They move through an abandoned building. Judging by the furnishing, it's some kind of mess hall. We get a better look at the lighting effects. Meanwhile, a small tremor takes place, and one of the Marines thinks it's fellow Marines blowing up ammo dumps nearby. However, he is swiftly corrected by another Marine who explains that they are about 90 kilometers from a major fault line, and that was a small earthquake. After that, you run across the street and we get a better look at the scene with the Marine breaking the door in, which we saw in the debut trailer. It appears that he breaks into not an underground parking lot, as stated in the debut trailer's analysis, but a garage or a service station. As soon as your squad mate gets out on the other side and goes out on the street, he gets shot by a sniper. Your other squad members open fire, and one throws a smoke grenade. The HUD gives off that this is PC footage, as we can clearly see the W, A, S, and D keys, the keys which are often used for movement in FPS games, with the interface prompting you to press the S key to drag your comrade into safety. DICE has also confirmed that the ability to drag your fallen teammates into safety won't be available in the multiplayer mode. An intense firefight has broken out between your Marine squad and an organized military force, presumably the PLR. We can tell it's organized military force because the soldiers the player shoots at are in uniform. Your objective, according to the HUD, is to hold off the enemy to the east. To be noted is the fact that the view through the Trijicon ACOG is fairly realistic, though the player's view is somewhat farther away from the scope than it would be in reality. We also see the classic hit marker when the player shoots an enemy. The reloading animation is also fairly realistic. However, the player does not use the bolt catch, but pulls the charging handle. As extra info, you will be able to select firing modes between single shot, burst fire, and full auto. You can see the selected firing mode on the HUD next to the ammo counter in the form of a dot and chevrons laid out horizontally. After the firefight, someone asks for a situation report, also known as a sitrep.
Give me a sitrep! I'm up! I'm up! I'm up! I'm fucked up, but I'm up!
Ignoring the main picture for a while, we can admire the urban landscape, beautifully rendered by the Frostbite 2.0 game engine. Wonderful lighting and a very detailed environment. Obviously, the game developers and designers have paid a lot of attention to it, the buildings even having satellite TV dishes on top, a common sight in the Middle East. And even the parked cars look so good they would be worthy to be used in a driving game. However, it is not excluded that the player will be able to drive a vehicle sometime during the game, as the Battlefield franchise is well known for its vehicle gameplay. Returning to the action, we can hear a fellow Marine calling out an enemy soldier's position. Enemy soldier that soon after that fires an RPG round at the player. When the player is blown back by the explosion, we can again see his arms and legs. This is something new for the Battlefield franchise, as it has been stated in the previous trailer's analysis, and maybe you'll be able to see your own character's limbs in multiplayer too. At the end, we are informed that the next trailer, continuing the Fault Line series of trailers, comes out on March 16th, after which we are prompted that we can get the limited edition containing the Back to Karkand expansion for no extra charge by pre-ordering. Now, we also know, thanks to Battlefield's community manager, that the 4 Battlefield 2 maps that will be remade for Battlefield 3, included in the Back to Karkand expansion, will be Strike at Karkand, Sharkey Peninsula, Gulf of Oman, and Wake Island. That's it for this Battlefield 3 analysis. We'll see you back on March 16th for the next episode.